hurry to get things done made me smile this morning. I didn't know it was the pre-service song. And as I was listening to it, and maybe some of you were like this, I feel like I've done my job pretty well as a parent if you walk up to my kids and you say the first line of a song and they can sing the rest. So if you walk up to my kids and you say, I'm in a hurry to get things done, they'll say back to you, I rush and I rush till life's no fun. All I really got to do is live and die. So as I think about that, I wanted to start this morning off with a question for you. And it's a question I want you to think about just a little bit. And that question is this. When was the last time you felt like you had enough time? When was it? Can you remember? And I'm not talking about like, oh, I got my to-do list done. I got my kids picked up. I got all my work things done. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when did you feel like you had enough time? There's a company called Pew Research, and they do research in the United States. And one of the things that they've researched is that right now, 60% of Americans feel like they are too busy to enjoy their life. 60%. That's 6 out of 10 people in this room feel like you're too busy to enjoy your life. And then if you have kids under 18, that number jumps up to 72%. 72% of you don't feel like you have enough time to enjoy life. One of the other pieces of research that was in their article that I found really interesting is that 52% of us are doing more than one thing at a time. I mean, that means half of you are doing something else besides just listening to me right now. And maybe that other thing that you're doing, that multitasking that you're doing is you're thinking about what you're going to get at the grocery store after this, or maybe you're thinking about where you're going to go eat, because lots of people go eat after church, or you're thinking about, hey, who's going to win the football games this afternoon? You know, I was running into it last night. Anybody watch the Rams game last night? You know, I'm watching the Rams game, and it's the end. I mean, it's an exciting finish. And I'm going back and forth, but I'm texting people. I'm moving stuff around in my living room. I'm just not watching the game. I'm doing multiple things. And unfortunately, that is becoming the norm in our lives. I mean, let me paint a picture of what I think happens to many of us in this room. So you wake up in the morning to your alarm, and you reach over and you grab your phone, because our phones are our alarms right now, and you turn off the alarm, and then you start to look at it, and there's all the notifications. Who emailed you, who texted you, who's reminding you to buy what. You've got all of the things that are showing up right there, and you haven't even gotten out of bed yet. I mean, really, you just turned off your alarm, and already your mind is racing. I mean, it is just going, because all of those things are right there. Get out of bed, and you go downstairs, get a cup of coffee, and people in your house are talking to you. Maybe you've got a roommate, maybe you have a spouse, maybe you got kids in there. They're talking to you, and you're just like, uh-huh. And you're not really listening. I saw some smiles. I know what happens to other people besides me. People are asking you questions. You're like, uh-huh. And then you go to work. Or maybe you stay home because you work from home. And when I say you work from home, maybe you work remotely. Maybe you're a stay-at-home parent. It's all work. But it is relentless. The people that are demanding things from you, the things you have to do, the work assignments you have to do, the phone calls, the emails, the text messages, the Teams messages, whatever it might be, it is just coming, and it's relentless. And it just doesn't go away. You eat lunch at your desk. Then you go home, and you haven't checked out yet. Or your day ends, and you're just kind of sleepwalking kind of through the night because you're tired and you're exhausted, and you have dinner. And then you tuck your kid into bed if you've got a kid, and you're reading them a story, and you're trying not to fall asleep while you're reading them their bedtime story. And you're exhausted. And then you're like, oh, I got some time to myself, and you just keep going. Maybe you open up that work project. Maybe you just start scrolling on your phone, or you binge watch something just to get away from it all. Then you fall asleep, and you wake up the next morning, and you do it all again. Did I get that right for anybody besides me, or am I the only one that does that? I think it's all of us. I think we get into it. And if I go a step further, I think within that busyness and with all of that, and when we do take a moment, we think there's got to be more to life than this. My schedule's full, but I still feel kind of empty inside. I mean, I know, I was there, I lived that. I still live it a little bit today. I fight against it. It's hard. Before I came to work at Prairie Heights, I worked in college athletics in the NCAA, which is the overriding body of college athletics. They had a saying, and it's where I joined Beth in the belief that balance in life is a myth, because the NCAA would say, life in the balance, live life in the balance. And I'm thinking, life in the balance? Are you kidding me? I got a soccer game on Friday afternoon, a volleyball game on Friday night, a football game on Saturday afternoon, a volleyball game Saturday night, a soccer game on Sunday. Then it's Monday and we're going to start getting ready to do it all again. There wasn't a whole lot of balance in that. There was a whole lot of stuff to get done in that, that's for sure. And I remember about 5 years ago, it was March, my favorite time of year, conference tournaments, all those sorts of things. And our basketball team is at the conference tournament down in Sioux Falls, and it's a Monday morning. It's an 11 o'clock game. We were playing first that day. And it's the conference tournament. So if you win, you get to stay. If you lose, you go home. And the game's going on, and it's a tight game, and I'm not sure if we're going to win or going to lose, and ultimately we win the game, which means I don't go home until the next day. And so I call my wife, and I'm like, hey, honey, we won. Means I don't get to come home till tomorrow. And we talked through it, and she'd been in my life for a while. I mean, we've been married 20 plus years, so she understood about conference tournament times. And I sigh because I hung up the phone. I'm like, okay, I got through that okay. I know she was kind of disappointed. And then it was about 2 o'clock that afternoon, and I figured out why she was disappointed. It was because it was her birthday, and I missed it. I didn't even say happy birthday. And I'm thinking about rhythms. And for us, and why it's so important, and last week I talked about recognizing our rhythms, because sometimes you're just so in it, you don't recognize your rhythm. I mean, I've been married to her at that time. I was married to her for 22 years, and her birthday was on the same date every one of those 22 years. How did I miss that? Right, 22 times I got it, and then I missed it. And it's a rhythm, and I didn't pay attention to it, and I should have known. I should have been aware of the rhythms of what's happening in my life, because I know at the end of February, beginning of March, that portion of my life was extremely busy. I know that I got 4 birthdays in my family within a 2-week span, but I just missed it. And I think, hey, if I would have been paying attention to my rhythms, I would have recognized, hey, my wife's birthday is not going to change. How am I going to get ready for it and be prepared for it in a busy day? And I'll tell you, that's one of the things I wanted to change. I mean, I liked what I did, and it was fulfilling, and I enjoyed it, but there was still, at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, I got to do something different. And I want to share some of the things today that I've learned about trying to do things a little bit differently. And the first thing is this, is you and I, we have to actually understand what the core of the problem is. What is the actual problem? And the problem is what looks like busyness. It isn't the problem. The problem is actually a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual problem. It's not that we have too much to do. And Jesus, he teaches us this. So it's in the book of John. And so the first 4 books of the Bible in the New Testament chronicle Jesus' life. And that's where I spend most of my time studying, because Jesus was here and he was fully man, just like us. But he was also fully God, so that meant he lived perfectly within that. He faced the same things we do, but he met those challenges in a much different way. And this is what he said in John 15, 4 and 5. He says, remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me, I remain in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That's the problem right there. Apart from me, you can do nothing. You get disconnected. You don't remain in the vine. That feeling that you've got about life maybe being a little more fulfilling, or you're just so busy all of the time, it's because you got disconnected from the vine. You're not connected with Jesus. And here's the thing, we don't intentionally choose that. It just slowly happens. Hey, maybe we're busy one Sunday and something comes up and we don't go to church. Then we don't go to church the next week, and then we don't go to the church the next week. Or maybe, hey, you've been trying to spend some intentional time with God, but you got distracted one day. We drift away from that connection. And now as we've drifted away, we just aren't connected. And we're withering because that connection is lost. But here's the thing, and it's the good news, is Jesus is always there. He is remaining in us. He is right there. Maybe you don't feel like he's in you. I'm telling you, you just open the door and he's right there. It was true then, and it's true today. And the good news is we can figure out, hey, how do we connect? How do we find that connection? How can we build rhythms so that we can stay connected to the vine, so that we can bear much fruit? Because we know if we're not connected to the vine, you can do nothing. And so maybe you're not convinced that you're disconnected. So I've got some symptoms I'm going to share with you, and we'll see if any of them are true. And this one's a little more pointed towards the parents in the room, but it's true everywhere, and it's true with everybody. But you're so busy, and you're looking at your schedule, and the week is just packed. And then you get the text message that your kid's practice got canceled. And you're like, yes! But you can't go yes because your kid really wants to go to practice. So I call that one the inside smile. It's when something on your calendar gets canceled, and you can't celebrate it because other people will be like, that's not quite right. But you can have that inside smile, go, ooh, I got an hour back. Ooh, I got some time back to myself. That's a definite symptom right there. Another one, it's a game called whack-a-mole. I don't know if anybody in here has played whack-a-mole, but it's the game where you're just trying to knock things down and another one pops up and you're so reactive because, oh, this popped up, I took care of that. Oh, here's this one, I got to take care of that one. And we live a reactive life to all the things that are coming at us. And I really want this one to resonate with you. So let's take a look at a video. All right, we got a cat, because most people like cats. We got a cat, and look at the fingers. I mean, they're coming up, and the cat's just whacking it, and whacking it, and whacking it. Then there gets to be too many things. The cat freezes. Then the cat starts whacking it again. And then the fingers get faster. And then the cat just freezes again. Anybody? Is that a picture of your life? You're playing a little bit of whack-a-mole, and then you get frozen. You just don't know what to do with it. The third symptom is, hey, we get distracted from what matters. And let me put this into simple terms. We all have a cell phone problem. We all have a cell phone problem, whether you want to admit it or not. Research tells us we spend 4 to 5 hours a day on our cell phone. That it's a habit, that in most Americans, it's a habit that, hey, when we don't know what to do, we pick up our phone and we just start to scroll. Is that anybody besides me, or is that only me? Because I do it. I mean, we get distracted. One of the things that I do appreciate, and here is a picture of it, that I do appreciate about, and there's many things I appreciate about the state of North Dakota, but legislatively, they passed a law that you can't take a cell phone into school anymore. And I think that's a good thing in education. I spent my career in education prior to coming to the church. I do think that's a good thing. And I'll tell you what, it was a big news story, and 6 or 7 weeks after that legislation, there was an article in the Forum, which is a local media outlet, and here's a quote from a junior at North High School that I think is so representative. I actually get my homework done when I have free time, and I'm not just sitting there staring at a screen. She said, I feel less distracted outside of the building as well. I just don't get that instant gratification of scrolling now, because she's cut it out of her life. She's doing it less than she's doing it more. We live in a world that's so connected that we become disconnected. That's one of the symptoms. The last symptom I want to share with you is, hey, it's the Sunday high and the Monday low. You came to church, you're here, and maybe there was something in the music that just created a feeling inside, or maybe I'm going to say something that might resonate with you just a little bit, and you're like, oh yeah, that thing. Or there's a Bible verse that just speaks to you. Then you leave, and you go do the errands, you watch the football, you go do the things, and by Monday morning you forgot all about it. I mean, it's the Sunday high and the Monday low. Has anybody in this room experienced one of those symptoms? I think you have. I think you have. And it's a symptom that you're disconnected. Because if we go back to John, let me read this to you again. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. I am the vine. You are the branches. Crystal clear. Jesus is the vine. You and I were the branches. And if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, it's Ecclesiastes 4:6. And it says, 1 hand worth of rest is worth 2 hands full of toil. And I'll tell you what, 5 years ago, I didn't believe that. But now, because I've practiced it, I've found that it's true, is that, hey, when I do rest, when I do stay connected, I get way more done. I bear much fruit. But when I'm only trying to get the things done, not nearly as good. Definitely not nearly as good. So all of the things that we talk about, I just want to say the things that we talk about and the things that you should be focusing on, stay connected to the vine. Remain in me, and you will bear much fruit. I mean, just think about it. You all have somebody that's your person, and maybe you call them, maybe you text them. You don't do that because you're supposed to. You do it because you like to stay connected to them. You like to know what's going on in their life. You like their support. You like all of the things. And that's what Jesus wants with us. He just wants us to be connected with him. The love is there, and it's always going to be there. It doesn't go away. The vine is always going to be there. He remains in us. And maybe if we feel like we're disconnected, I promise you this, you open the door, he's standing right there, just waiting for you. And I think that mindset and that understanding, it changes everything, because sometimes our spiritual practices, when I say our spiritual practices, I mean like going to church, reading the Bible, praying. I think sometimes those spiritual practices, I mean, they can start to feel like homework. And they can kind of feel like a burden. I mean, I shared with you last week, if you were here, that in 2024, I started a year-long Bible reading plan, and I finished it at the end of 2025. I'll tell you what, that started to feel like a burden in there, let me tell you, because I was like, I'm not doing so good, and all the things that you start to tell yourself. And in reality, it was all about staying connected to Jesus. And so I want to go to the book of Mark right now, which is another book in the Gospels that chronicles Jesus' life, just to kind of see, hey, how did Jesus deal with this stuff? What did Jesus do? And in the first chapter, there was a day where Jesus had a full day, because people know who he is, starting to recognize him, people are hearing about him. And so he teaches all day in the synagogue because the people are just coming and they want to hear from him. And then he has somebody and he casts out a demon. And then he heals Peter's mother-in-law. And I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but my mother-in-law is going to hear this, so I'm not going to tell it. But he heals Peter's mother-in-law. And then they go home. And then the whole town shows up at his door. That's a busy day, and I got to imagine, he didn't just not answer the door. He healed people, and he was there for people. And he's tired. And he's exhausted. And so what does he do? That's the line out of Mark. I'm going to tell you what Jesus did after that day. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. I think there are some golden nuggets in that we can learn from Jesus. And I think there's 4 things that we can really learn from Jesus. The first one is, hey, Jesus, he didn't wait for convenient. He didn't wait for a time where, it'll just be natural to connect with my Father. He made a time. He got up a little bit earlier. And he made it happen. Because he knew with all the things coming at him, that remaining connected to his Father, it wasn't just going to naturally happen. It wasn't going to be convenient. It wasn't going to be easy. He had to make it convenient. The next thing that Jesus did, that we read about is he created the space and the place. Now, there's a couple prairie hiders that I know that are all CrossFit, and they're in it hard right now. And I'll tell you what, when they go to the CrossFit gym, they know what they're doing. They're not there to have a cup of coffee, relax, and talk. They're there to work out. And I think that's what Jesus did. He created a space and a place that when he went there, he was going to connect with his Father. Because he knew that's what it was for, and that's what he knew he was going to do there. So when he got there, that's what he naturally did. As Jesus went to that space and place, his priority was connection. And as I study the Gospels, I find that connection with the Father, connection with God was huge for Jesus. He was doing it all the time. He stayed connected to his Father. And one of the things, as I read the Bible, and I'm trying to learn it because there's so much in there, Jesus did a lot of miracles. But usually when I'm reading in the Bible, I read that, hey, Jesus got up and he prayed. Jesus went and was by himself. And then he did all the stuff. That's when he turned the water into wine. That's when he cast out demons. That's when he spoke to the people. It was after he connected to his Father. And he stayed connected. It wasn't just his Father he stayed connected to. He stayed connected to his disciples, right? He had this group of 12 that was his inner circle. They were his people. And I'd say, who are your people? Who are you staying connected to? Because when you're connected to like-minded people, you're going to go in the like-minded places. Are you hanging out with people that are bringing you closer to Jesus? Or are you hanging out with people that are pulling you away from Jesus? Who are the people you're hanging out with? And at Prairie Heights, that's one of the reasons why groups is so important. So that you can be with like-minded people that are pursuing a relationship with Jesus. And it's usually around something that you like or something that you're similar in. Jesus stayed connected to his disciples. And then the last thing is Jesus stayed connected to God by serving people. And so to give you a little context about the next piece of scripture I'm going to share with you, the disciples, they were kind of having an argument about it, like, hey, who's the number one disciple? Who gets to sit on the right hand? Who gets to sit on the left hand? And they were kind of going back and forth. There was that human side of like, hey, I'm the man. What do I get out of this? Jesus, tell us, pick one. And Jesus said, hey, that might be true in other places, but not so with you. It's in Matthew. He's like, not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great amongst you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus came to serve. And when he served, it glorified God and kept him connected to God. That's one of the reasons why serving is a big thing here at Prairie Heights, is because God called us to serve, not to be served. And how are you serving? And when you're serving, the ultimate goal of that serving is so that you're connected to God and you're glorifying God. One of the byproducts of that is then you get connected to other people and you start to build that circle. Then I'd also say the fourth thing that I pulled out of that verse is that Jesus, his rhythms, they created clarity. Because he was connected, he knew what he needed to do. It was clear to him because he was connected to God. And God gave him the wisdom and the guidance of where to go. And I just think about it this way. If Jesus had these rhythms and needed these rhythms so he could stay connected to his Father, so he could stay connected to God, and Jesus was here and he was fully man, facing the same temptations you and I do, but he was also fully God, so we know he was perfect. If Jesus needed rhythms, how much more do we need rhythms? I mean, it tells me I need some rhythms. And what are my rhythms going to be? In our lives, time's always going to be an issue. And understanding the time and the rhythms, that's going to be a key thing. I mean, you heard it about my story with my wife. I mean, come on, Mr. Birthday. How did I miss her birthday after 22 years? It's the same thing with Jesus. The vine hasn't moved. I remain in you. Jesus is there. So can you picture in your mind what it might be like to start your day connected? That, hey, maybe when your alarm goes off and you reach it and you grab it, you turn off your alarm, but then you set your phone down and you just spend 10 minutes. You spend 10 minutes praying. Spend 10 minutes talking to Jesus. What would that look like? What would it look like if you got up and you got up a little bit earlier and when you got your coffee, you just read one chapter out of the Bible? I'm not talking about a whole book. I'm just talking about a chapter. Here's what I think starts to happen when we introduce those things and we think about doing those things to connect with God. All the same things are probably going to happen in your day. There's going to be the relentless emails and all of the different things. But the difference is you're starting from a place of connection with God. And that's going to carry through the day. There's going to be a calm and a peace that goes with that. It's going to give you a little bit different mindset. Here's another picture. What if you actually rested? Tana talked about it. What if you actually took a day of rest, a day of Sabbath? It is the fourth commandment. Where if on Saturday night, just imagine Saturday night, 9 o'clock, you just turn off all the work stuff. You turn off your computer, you turn off all those things, and you go to sleep. And then you wake up on Sunday morning and you come to church because you want to come to church. Not because somebody made you come to church or you felt like you had an obligation to come to church, but you came to church so you could connect with God. And then you went home and you took a nap. I'm telling you, one hand worth of rest is worth two hands full of toil. Because here's what your week will start off like. Instead of starting off with just all the busyness of the weekend, you'll start off in a place of calm. You'll be refueled. It'll be an entirely different feeling just because you simply took some rest. Just imagine if you spent more time connected to the vine. And maybe some of you experienced something like this, maybe you haven't, but I know when I'm connected, I know the answers come a little bit easier. It's a little more clear, hey, what I'm supposed to do. You know, it's like, I need to do this, not should I do this. And you have that clarity about the decisions that you've got to make on a daily basis. And I'll say it again, if you remain in me, you will bear fruit. Jesus is telling them, if you remain in me, you will bear fruit. And if you're connected, it flows. It's not forced. But how well are we staying connected? How well are we remaining in him? I mean, we've just looked at the rhythms of Jesus' life, and it's time for us to make a plan, not to do things. I don't want to plan to do things. But hey, let's think about how can we stay connected to God? How do we stay connected to the vine? How do we stay connected to Jesus? Because there's this God and his son Jesus that love us more than we can even begin to comprehend. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter what you did 40 minutes ago, Jesus loves you. And that's never going to change. The thing that we can change is how we stay connected to him, and what does that look like? And I know some of you are probably thinking, like, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, I'm in it with you because I want your rhythms to change. And I know rhythms change in small ways. You pick one thing and you do it, and sustainable beats ambitious every time. So what's one thing you can do every day? What is one thing you can incorporate into your rhythms so that you can stay connected to Jesus? I mean, it's decision time right now. Are you going to do it or you're not? You're going to step into it or you're not? I know the first thing about being successful in accomplishing a goal is committing to accomplishing the goal. Are you in or are you out? And like I said, I'm going to help you do it. I mean, is anyone up for setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier and praying before you start your day? So you start your day from a place of connection? And hey, maybe what your goal really is I'm going to get up when my alarm goes off. I'm not going to push snooze 2 times because I know there are people that set their alarm so they can push snooze. Right? Is that it? Or hey, I'm gonna read daily scripture every day so I can connect with God. And I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna do it so that I'm connected to him because it's his word. How about experiment with the Sabbath, experiment with rest? Hey, maybe Saturday night to Sunday night's too long. What about half a day? Or maybe just one night a week, just to try it in that way. How about coming to church more frequently? I know this, the average person goes to church less than twice a month in the United States. What happens if you go 3 times? Is that a way that you connect with God? How do you feel when you're here? Maybe you should join a group. Get around some like-minded people. Hey, maybe you should serve once a month. What would that look like? I mean, our drift is real. Our rhythms are going to pull us away. And so we have to create rhythms that are going to pull us back. And what's the rhythm that you need right now? Right now on the screen, there's a QR code. And I've got those 6 things. You scan that QR code, it's going to give you the opportunity to pick one of those things, and I'm going to help you do it. Like, hey, if you want to get up 15 minutes earlier, you click that one, and you can only click one. You click that one, and you'll get a text from me tomorrow morning at 6:30. Only once, though. I tell you how many times, because I don't want you to feel like, oh my goodness, how many times is this guy going to text me at 6:30? Only once. Same thing, hey, if you want to come to church more often, hey, I'll send you texts for the next 4 weeks. Just about, hey, reminding you to come to church and that you want to come to church. There's some options in there. Because I know, because I've lived it, that if you take a small thing and you put it into a rhythm of your life, it's going to change your life. Especially if that rhythm is all about connecting with God. Remain in me, and I will remain in you, and you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. I've lived it. I know it. I want it for me. I want it for you. So join me in a prayer. God, I know how much you love us. I know I can't comprehend how much you love us, but I know it is more than my mind can even wrap around. And God, I know your son Jesus, he's just right there for me all the time. And God, I know because I've lived it that when I'm connected to him, I know how much more fruit I bear, how much more I do. I know that my life is way more when I'm connected to him, that I'm just not in a hurry to get things done. I know there's some fulfillment. I know there's some connection, and it all starts with that connection with you, God. You make everything so much better, God. And God, today I just ask that anybody that's heard any of this message this morning, God, I just ask that you maybe open their eyes, open their mind, open their heart to what staying connected to you can do for them in their lives and the fruit that they can bear. Not because it's an assignment, God, but because it's an authentic connection with a God who loves us more than we can even imagine, no matter how many messy things we do. God, I just ask that you open our hearts and our minds to that in a place where we take action, where we do something, where we just don't hear it. But God, move us from knowing to doing about connection with you. God, thank you so much for loving us the way that you do. In your name we pray, amen.